Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Small Business Success Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood, based here in Louisville, Kentucky. I am the owner of multiple businesses. I have Eagle Eye Strategic Marketing and Crusados Strategic Leadership Development. And you'll notice that both of those businesses have the word strategic in it because I am the Chief Strategic Guide. However, this is one of my fun things that I do is this show because I get to meet so many interesting business owners out there. I love the passion that these people have for their businesses. I love to hear the stories of how they got started. And I also love to hear the advice they've received and implemented and the advice they give others. And ultimately, what does success mean to everybody? It looks a little different for every single person. For you that are listening, if this is your first time here, thank you for welcome. Congratulations on finding us. I do have a lot of fun with what we do. I say I'm super excited a lot because it is my natural go-to to say that I am super excited about my next guest. But I am always excited, especially because I'll record this piece after I've talked to them. And so my level of excitement does go up after I've met with them. I hope to translate that excitement over to you. And I hope that you find a lot of value out of listening or watching even any of these episodes. So a couple of little details for you. If you are finding this on a audio podcast channel, please know that we also do video on YouTube channel. But if nothing else, you kind of want to see what all we got going on and find past episodes, go to smallbusinesssuccesstalk.biz. .biz. Pretty sure I have small business success talks, plural at the end.com, or just small business success talk.biz. All the past episodes are there. I would love to say that I'm super consistent and do it every single week, but I need a full-time producer for that. I am pretty close to every week now. There's plenty of them. And these are packed full of great conversation. So we are a little longer. I have not done the part one, part two, because, if you like it, you're going to hit pause, you'll come back to it and finish this out later. Now, with all of that being said, all of the details, I do take a quick hot 30 seconds or whatever to thank a sponsor partner of mine because I meet a lot of my guests through my sponsor partner of the Chamber of St. Matthews. The Chamber is a great place for you to make connections. If you are just starting out in business or you're trying to develop your business, get involved in your local chamber. A chamber will set up events for you to come together and meet each other, all with, like, it's not creepy. Like, you're not going up to some random stranger, like, and shoving your business card in their face. Like, basically, don't do that anywhere you go. However, these these events are set up so that you can exchange information, do one-on-ones, talk about business, which is, if you are in business for yourself, kind of one of the favorite things to do, right? You are excited about your business, you want to talk about it. So go meet some people at the chamber. It's a great way to start building your network, strengthening your network, getting involved in your community. Go hook up with your local chamber. And if you are not, we are also a very thriving virtual chamber. We got plenty of virtual options going on. You can come join me in my chamber at the Chamber of St. Matthews. So, with that being said, my guest this time, I'm so glad I met her. I did meet her at an area event through the chamber, and I was very pleased when I met her. We did hit it off. Like, her energy is great. She just has one of those, just, you're going to find out, she's got a very generous spirit to her, and she is easy to talk to. She thought this was going to be so difficult. It was her first podcast. She did a great job, very conversational, and I love her story. And I was very surprised. I didn't know she had so many kids until she just, like, dropped that one on me. I was like, what? Didn't even know. So, little Miss Thing looks way too young to have that, first of all, that many kids, this much experience, this much going on for her, but she is a total rock star. I very much enjoyed the time with her. Her name is Terri Paige, and she is the CEO and co-founder of because I've gotten this wrong a couple times. I keep wanting to throw extra words into it. Medical Transformation Center. Now, the nice thing about this is what I'm learning, even from our conversation and the information ahead of time. how this came about, of course, was from personal experience and situations they were going through. They turned that into a business, found any of their businesses they've done. She also knows how to look at the marketplace, find the gap, and put the business in that gap to be able to meet the needs that are in the market. I loved that piece of the conversation. I was like, yes, girl. We had a great time in the green room before we hit the record button. I want you to get a lot out of this. Her story is fantastic. Her experience and education is extensive. It's going to be a great conversation if I would just shut up and transition over to introduce you to my new friend, Terri Paige. Thank you, Terri, so much for being my guest on this show for Small Business Success Talk. Now, I've gotten to meet you a total of 2 times now. A total of twice. Once, believe it or not, I was having a really bad day, but it was at the track. So that's why I was at the track, hopefully to have a much better day. And I got to meet you. So that was fantastic. And then I think we met at an Inspire morning
We
for
did.
for the chamber. So I'm very appreciative that Kim connected us and you get to be a guest today because I want to learn more about you and your background because I read your bio and you'd mentioned it in our green room. You have a background in accounting, however, that is not your business. So I'd love to know how, like, connect some of these dots for me. How did you get from there to doing what you're doing now in your regenerative, restorative wellness medicine area? Like, tell me all of the things, the origin story of Terri.
Oh gosh. Okay, that's a long story. First of all, thanks for having me here, Christy. I appreciate it. And it's delightful to get to see you again. I know the day that we met at the track, we were fast friends. I mean,
Yes,
you remember?
it was fun. Well, I mean, like, how could
Yeah,
you not bond over? Did you win? Did you lose? How'd your
I
horse do?
know. And I picked solely on color and name. That's it. I picked solely on color and name. That's my strategy. I know that's not a good strategy, but it's a strategy
Yes,
nonetheless,
most
right?
people do that. Yes.
Oh gosh. Well, to answer your question, it depends on which track you want me to take. So
Oh,
I'm good. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna assume that you want the real story, right?
oh, I definitely want the real story. I don't want the glossed over, pretty version. I want the real story here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you the real story. Okay. So I we all have aptitudes, right? We all have
Mhm.
aptitudes, things that we're good at, and not necessarily things that we just love, but for whatever reason, we have that God-given talent. And for some reason, I have the ability to, like look at a set of numbers and say, oh no, there's something wrong there. Or, it's just my thing. Okay. It's just my thing. Now, and back in the olden days, I don't know if they do it anymore, but in high school, you used to take tests too to see, what you had an aptitude for, kind of in the guidance counselor's office and that type of thing. Now, I have some loves, okay, but then I have some things I'm really good at. I love fashion and styling and colors and textures and all those wonderful things. I love that. And maybe I would have gone into that industry. I did grow up in a healthcare family. My dad was an immigrant from the Philippines, and he came over back in the late 50s when foreign doctors were coming over for training and then possibly, to stay and work. There was a real need for that. And he did come over from the Philippines in the late 50s and for a variety of reasons, which is another story in and of itself, decided to stay and practice here in the US. So there were 5 kids in my family, and we grew up in that whole world of private practice. And we worked in the office, we cleaned the office, we answered the phones, we worked in the ledgers and did all of the things that you would do in the
Family
70s.
owned business.
Yeah, yeah, I did all of the things that you used. So I loved that part. I loved that part of, our family. I loved being connected. Really, what I loved was being connected with the people, with hearing their stories. I mean, we took care of people from, birth to death because he was a general practitioner. And he was so old school, he'd go and deliver babies or he'd make house calls. And,
Aw.
I just remember that feeling of just that care, and back, we were in a small town in Western Kentucky. And if somebody, I mean, didn't have, money to pay or whatever, back then there wasn't a lot of health insurance. It was more just catastrophic. We would take tomatoes or coconut cake or something like that. So I had that, I guess, that love. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a country doctor. And so I had that love, and I had a lot of experience working in the office. Now, I will tell you this. Back before, this was like child labor, I know technically, but he would have us work in the office. And because we were in Western Kentucky, there would be a 2-week period where the mines would close, the coal mines. There were coal mines there in Western Kentucky. And the normal people that worked in his office, he had 2 people, a nurse and a front office person. Their husbands worked for the mines, so they would go on vacation for 2 weeks. And of course, Dad wasn't going to shut down the office. So he always, every summer, had my sister and I work in that office for 2 weeks and run the ship. So we're talking, 9, 10, 11
Oh,
years old, 12.
wow. Yeah.
That's what I mean,
I'm
child
thinking
labor.
14, 15. Okay.
Oh, no,
That's
no, 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 no. He
okay.
had us running the ship. And the thing about it is that we would, my sister and I would split off, one day one would do the front office and the other would do the back office and help Dad. And remember, he did everything. It was a general practitioner practice. So those experiences actually led me early on to realize, I love the science. I love the detail in theory. I love working with people and helping them be well, but I don't like blood and guts at all. And he actually did have us, help with procedures and stuff. And there were a few that, after that, I just thought, okay, I'm not in. I am not in.
I would say just being around the office, you're going to see all the things if he did all of the things.
Well, and when you assist, you get an up close and personal. So,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
but anyway, so, but I did have that in my blood, just that care. And I just remember that compassion. And, he died a few years ago. And, at his funeral, I mean, people were coming up to me still and talking about, the care and the love that, that he provided. So it was always in my heart. I was a young mother, so I was in high school, and actually, the father of my first child is actually my husband. There you go. But we were really young. I mean, we were teen parents, and so that did shift a lot of the plans that I thought I was going to do later on in life, and so, going back to aptitude, right? Even though I had a love of a lot of things that were more, I'm going to say, artsy, I knew that practically I was I would be a really good accountant. So, thankfully, we had the support to be able to do that. I mean, we were literally, I mean, I was a junior in high school, or between my junior and senior year when I had our first son. And so I did finish, I finished high school, but then it was like, okay, I got to get a job. I got to be able to support
Sure. Yeah.
and so forth. And so that's what I did. I mean, I went to school and became an accountant. And we did actually, again, teen parents, right? We didn't actually get married until I turned 18, and I was a young graduate. So I graduated when I was 17. So we didn't get married until I was 18. My dad was like, "You can't get married, you might kill each other," which was probably true, at that time. And so, not the storybook start, right? But we did, and so, my husband, his track was, he was always on the track to go to medical school. And so, somebody had to like work, right? Somebody had to work. Somebody had to work during that time. So that was the genesis of the whole accounting thing, is that, it was an aptitude. I was good at it. It was a way to feed the family and, and allow that,
Sure.
that education to happen. So, and it was a blessing because in retrospect now, because you asked for that connection, in retrospect now, what a great underpinning to have as a business owner, right? I did work corporate accounting in Lexington, and then I worked corporate accounting here in Louisville when we moved here for my husband's residency program. So I had all of that experience. And then where I worked here in Louisville, I also had marketing and interface with key customers. And so there was all of this beautiful experience that ended up ultimately happening out of that decision. So it wasn't lost, right? It wasn't lost.
It was a
And
great working education.
yeah, yeah. And we always knew that later on, our goal, my husband and mine's goal as a family was to do that family business again. And, I knew how to do it, right?
Your kids are
kind of
already
in
too
my,
old.
it was kind of in my DNA. It was kind of in my DNA how to start a medical practice. And so that's what we did. So, so from the connection from being an accountant to where we are today, there's a lot in between. And I bet you're going to ask me some more questions about that, but that's it. So originally trained as an accountant and then went back and I've done fellowships and trainings on integrative and cellular medicine and so forth. So, and I'm a certified coach as well, too.
Yeah, I saw your list of accomplishments here. You're not just a certified lifestyle coach, certified through the American Academy of Anti-Aging, Regenerative and Functional Medicine. It's like, oh, that's a lot of stuff. And then you got Metabolic Medical Institute, certified professional performance coach through Source Point Training. You are a continuous learner. That's for sure. I'm like, that was one of those things. Like, she's got a lot of education all packed up into that little bitty body of yours. Just
Yeah.
there's so much there, and not just the education, but the experience that you're taking the education and applying it into your business. So tell me about the business itself. So what do you guys really, what do you do with all this? What do you do?
Well, it's probably helpful to talk about the genesis of it. That I think that would probably
Mhm.
be helpful just to give context. The Originally, like I said before, after my husband finished medical school and residency, he went into a specialty. It was internal medicine and pediatrics, so he did a double residency at U of L, and which essentially is primary care with just a little more training, right? Internal
Sure.
medicine being the adults, and then pediatrics being the specialized training for children. And we hung a shingle back in 1992. We were just young kids down, and we moved actually to Oldham County to do that because we knew there was a need. He was the first full-time board certified pediatrician in that county. And, so we built on that. You have to understand your market, right? Your market
Mm-hmm.
and the demand and what's needed in order to fill that need. And we knew that there was a gap in Oldham County for that. So we literally did. We hung the shingle and a little timeshare, like we were talking about earlier in the green
Yep.
room, because that's a great way to grow a business with very little overhead. So we hung that shingle, and fortunately, the experience that I'd had working at the bank that I worked at when we moved to Louisville, I had gotten the opportunity to work in marketing and to understand more about demographics and just really broaden my experience there. So I was able to translate that into our own small business. And we we grew. We grew on the ped side, and once people realized that, oh, you can also see me as an adult, mom, dad, grandparents, then it just started to flourish. And like I said, that started in 92, and then we brought in partners and we built this large primary care entity out in Oldham County, and we're there from actually 1992 until 2015. So it was a long haul, and we
Yeah.
loved it. I mean, we had so many friends, so many families that we'd gotten to be a part of for all those years. You see little kids,
Yeah.
and they grow up, and then all of a sudden you're seeing their kids. And I mean, it was amazing. And we raised we grew our family there as well. But things started to change, I'm going to say after healthcare reform. There were a lot of good things about healthcare reform, right? But there were also a lot of shifts that happened. And with those shifts, I mean, we were in it to really take care of people, to really shepherd them and help them be well, whatever it took. And it seemed like later on, as things evolved, especially after the recession, 2008, 2009, 2010, it really got to be more of here's a symptom, here's a diagnosis, here's a medication. And that really wasn't serving people. So meanwhile, there was a gap for me personally. I think I told, well, I know I told you earlier, we started out young with kids and we had a couple of children when we moved out to Oldham County. And I had stepped out of the office for a few years when we had partners, and it just, I just wanted to do some different things. I mean, that's kind of one of my common themes in life is I like change.
I
And
could not even imagine that coming from you.
I know. Give it all. Yeah. Yeah. I like things to be moving. But part of it was I felt a pull. We felt a pull on our hearts. We didn't feel like we were, when you're young and you have kids and you're just trying to survive and you're just trying to make it. And then we had our daughter when my husband was in medical school. But when I was younger, I'd always wanted to have a big family. But again, when you start early, you're just in survival mode. And
Sure.
we had that opportunity, after the practice that we had started out in Oldham County started to grow, to just pause for a minute and work on some things that we needed to work on as a couple, because you can imagine you start out early, there's some things to work on, right?
And you're growing as people in general, and things change, and I
Yeah. But also during that time, we realized, we really actually wanted to have more kids. We wanted a bigger family. So we actually were just open to however many God wanted to send us. He actually sent us 6 and 7 years. So we have 8 kids. so,
what?
so we have 8 kids. So
Okay,
I
see, I
was at
did not see
home.
that coming. I honestly did not see that coming when you started out like we were really early. I kind of thought that track would be like, oh yeah, we learned our lesson really early on. But then you're like, oh no, like where's she going with this? I'm like, 8. So you are the person I need to thank for taking up my lack of children. So
We I was older when we started having them. And what happened, well, I had stepped out, like I said, from the workforce for a while, and we had those children. We homeschooled. It was a lovely, lovely time. But I will tell you that it took a huge toll and magnified some health issues that I had underlying.
oh,
And they really came to fruition. So I was the, autoimmune, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, depression, anxiety, 50 pounds overweight. There was a whole lot that there were a lot of beautiful, wonderful things that came out of those years, right? But there was also, I had a lot of underlying GI issues and inflammation and so forth that really just blossomed during that time of pregnant and nursing and pregnant and nursing and pregnant and nursing.
oh, well, I
And
mean, your body's gone through tremendous change over and over and over again. It makes sense
yeah.
that all you're going to be more heightened to what is happening with your body. First of all, like type A people like myself, we just ignore it for decades until all of a sudden your body's like, no, you
Boom.
can't. Exactly.
The
Exactly.
train, you stop and the rest of the cars hit you. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean that's where I've been, but your story is like, oh my gosh, if that's anything like half of what I've been experiencing here, in the concept of your body got used to one thing and then all of a sudden it changed. Like, oh, we just had a baby. Now, however long it is, like, oh, we're gonna do this again. Okay, let me get reset. Like there's a lot of changes that happen in a woman's body just every single month, let alone you add in having babies and then you add in trying to transition back. Like your body's going through a whole lot of stuff. There's no wonder it was like, hey, hi, hello, help me.
Well, I had a lot of underlying GI issues and inflammation and so forth. And it really just, like I said, it hit the fan.
Yeah.
It hit the fan. It was a period of a couple of years of in bed rest. I had some issues. I had to have surgery. So there was a whole lot that happened. But at the end of it, I was down in the pits. And at one point, and I would get shingles actually every other month, which I would get it right here on my face, on the left side of my face. And
Yeah.
it hurt and it was ugly. Okay. Right. Two
Yeah.
bad things. And at one point, my husband came home from the office and I had it again. And I was like, look, here it is again. And I was in my mid 40s at the time. And he started because, again, he was very traditionally trained. Okay. So did you take your this? Did you take your that? Medicines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Right.
It was a watershed moment for us. And it's actually part of the whole medical transformation center story. But I grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and I said, look, I didn't work. So you could go to medical school. So you could tell me to take and there might have been a few bad words, pill. I'm too young for this. You need to figure it out. I have no energy. I can't do anything. I'm a mess, blah, 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 blah. Right.
Right.
And so this was a few years prior to when I re-entered, into our family businesses. And, he, if there's one thing about my husband that I can tell you without fail, just with consistency, he is extraordinary. He's like, Sherlock Holmes. He wants to know why. And when you're practicing for him, you're practicing medicine and you're in the game of it, constantly, and you're just used to, right, doing,
Yep.
medications and so forth. But I think, when the squeaky wheel is in your kitchen
You give
with
him something
with
to really
with
work
with you
on.
with their hand on the scruff of your neck,
Oh, yeah, there's that.
yeah, there was that. Um, he he said, oh, okay. And about 3 weeks later, he came back to me and he said, I don't think I can help you unless you change your diet, make some lifestyle shifts, et cetera. So he had been researching and understanding, that there's more to this than the symptom, the diagnosis, and the med. And of course, I wasn't the only person experiencing that. He had lots of patients at the
Hmm.
office with the
Yeah.
same kinds of concerns, that really wanted to understand and thrive as opposed to just manage. So after that, we started our own personal health journey, beginning the concepts of what we do now here in Medical Transformation Center. But we started that at home, and I think that was about like 2010, 2009, 2010, 2011, and then in 2011. I went back into our medical practice that we had at the time up in LaGrange, Kentucky, with the goal that we were going to actually start to shift the way that practice was focused. Again, it was a very large internal medicine pediatrics, very, typical insurance based practice, but we wanted to start to really have more of a focus on wellness and prevention and root cause and so forth. And that started that journey of education. So that's where you see the American Academy of Anti-Aging, Regenerative and Functional Medicine, a body
Gotcha.
that really is focused on that and really bringing to the clinic the cutting edge tools that really work with the body to heal itself, right? Because the body is wonderful. It can heal itself if it's given the tools. So we actually thought we would just apply those principles in that very, in our traditional practice. And that's really the path that we started down for a few years. We thought, okay, we're just going to bring all of this in here into this practice and really help people. Unfortunately, what we found was that it was like a square peg in a round hole because the system was still built up with a very short visit, a one problem. Here's your med. We'll draw your labs. We'll see you again in 6 months and give you another script. It was built like that. And what is that called? Cognitive dissonance. After a while, yeah, you can do
Yes.
that, but you
Yeah.
realize, there's a better way. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody really wants to because there's work involved. I will tell you that this type of care, there's a whole lot of partnership. Okay, there's partnership involved. But it got to that point where we realized, I'm going to say the end of 2013, we need a different vehicle for this type of care. So we actually, started Medical Transformation Center. We named it around the kitchen table with our kids. We were trying to convey certain things by the naming of it, and that it was in fact medical. It was grounded in, and there's nothing. I mean, traditional allopathic medicine, which is what our practice was, is there's absolutely a place for that. Absolutely, we have not thrown away those tools, but there are other tools that can be used, and so that's what we brought in to this other model. And really transformation, I mean, that's really the goal. People want to transform their health. So we started that. We ran it in tandem with our current practice that we had at the time, and thought, okay, we can do both. But after a while, like I said earlier, you get into that whole mind frame of, there's a better way. And once you realize that, we made the decision to sell that primary care practice, and through a phased process, just segue completely in to this type of care, and ultimately did that completely in 2017.
Well, to me, this also sounds like your medical transformation center is honestly just getting back to the roots of what primary care was, maybe even for your dad back in the day. Like just really getting to know people, getting to the root of their issues and how to help them, even more naturally, not just, follow a systematic, here's the diagnosis, here's your medicine, go home, call me later kind of system. Like we know that doesn't work. So what with new technology and maybe deeper approaches is following the same path that just a good down home country doctor would do, is care about
Well, what's
people.
old is new again, right? What's old is
Yes.
new again.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's exciting because, well, first of all, at Medical Transformation Center, we do ask our patients to keep a primary care relationship. And so our definition for that is for acute care needs. So, for example, you wake up on a Saturday morning and you've got a bladder infection. That's not us.
Right.
Those acute care needs. We figured, okay, we did that for, almost 30 years. Let's go back over it. Let's do this. So really, we work in tandem. Our goal at Medical Transformation Center is to really optimize. So we have buckets, I'll say, of people that come to see us. There are, first of all, if we see children in Medical Transformation Center, there's something that their parents really want to see how we can get that little body to heal itself. So we don't see any well kids here. When we see children at Medical Transformation Center, we see kids that maybe are on the spectrum. They have autism, they have ADD, they have ADHD, some type of spectrum disorder, and their parents want to understand why. Is there something is there some root cause? What can we do to shift that? How can we support that little body in really having optimal function? Or we see kids maybe that have, GI issues or weird rashes or behavioral issues that really aren't a function of, counseling, because that could be the case, right? But maybe other things that, there's other reasons, or maybe it's in tandem with their counseling to really support them.
Yeah, there's something
So,
going on. Is it physiological, like in the
mhm,
physical aspect of your body that is coming from how I emotionally feel about something? It's causing a physical
absolutely.
reaction. And so it like working in tandem maybe with the counselor or with another specialist makes total sense because I need to know what is going on for me physically to be able to change behaviors, or like I need to reframe my mindset around how this is functioning, or really notice that physical response is coming from some other place. Like having somebody help me figure I'm 48. I need somebody to help me figure this out.
Well, you're
I don't,
right, though. The gut brain connection is huge. I mean, that was a big component of my depression and anxiety back when I was younger. I mean, of course, a lot of things had happened. There's a whole
Mhm.
lot more that happened,
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah. But, and like we said earlier, that when you stop, the other cars of the train hit you.
Yep.
But there was also a physiological component. GI tract is huge, gut permeability, food sensitivities, toxicity. There's so many other components to that, that if we can, those are things that we can manage, we can control those. It does take work. I mean, everybody that walks in here, we have to have the conversation about changing your diet, which, I mean, gosh, first thing my husband said to me back then was, okay, you need to stop eating gluten and dairy. Now, my mom's Italian. Okay. So did I mention that? Gluten, dairy, right?
Oh, gotta be kidding me.
Awful, 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 awful. But it actually helped me. So, again, then there's decision. At least there's information, and then you can make a good choice, right? You can make an
Exactly.
informed choice. So, working in that realm with kids, that would be how we would see children. For adults, we see adults that they're doing fine. They just want to look at their genetic predispositions, understand, maybe they're watching their parents age not so gracefully and they're going, I really want to head that off at the pass. They want to understand risk. They want to see what they can do to really, optimize, right? Cognitive function, metabolism, energy, that type of thing. So some people just really, they're doing okay. They really want to optimize, and that's great. Those are fun. That's fun. That's fun. You're just trying to supercharge. And that's actually was the genesis of the American Academy of Anti-Aging and Regenerative and Functional Medicine. Those physicians actually originally that started that were in charge of Olympic athletes, and their job was to supercharge
Oh,
them.
yeah.
And then they got together, they got together afterwards and thought, what would happen if we applied these principles to our everyday patients? So that was actually the origin of the A4M, is what that organization is called. Um, so that's one bucket of adults. Other adults, and these are the ones that, of course, have my heart, right? Because of for a variety of reasons. But, they've been everywhere. They haven't gotten any answers. Basically, they've been told, oh, you have a Prozac deficiency, or, that's it, right?
Right.
Or, there's nothing really wrong, that type of thing, but they
It's
know
all in
something's
your
wrong.
head. You're just
Yeah.
making it up. We don't see anything
Or,
wrong with you. Like I've heard all these things myself.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's got to
Oh,
be
me
more
too.
going on.
Right. Well, or those buckets, right? Chronic fatigue syndrome, right?
Hmm.
Fibromyalgia. Those are buckets. I mean, they're just catch-alls. There's catch-alls, but there's a reason, right? There's a
Hmm.
reason that you have that stuff going on. So we see folks in that bucket that really are just, they've been door to door and they haven't gotten any answers. And then we see people, that maybe have diagnoses and they go, you know what? I am not willing to accept that it's a foregone conclusion. I'm just going to be on this med for the rest of my life. We see a lot of GI issues. We see a lot of autoimmune disease, a lot of endocrine, thyroid and, hormones and different things like that. And sometimes people will ask me, oh, so you're a hormone clinic? And I'm like, actually, no, we absolutely, we look at the body as a whole system. And so do we use hormones in this clinic? Absolutely. Bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is part of what we do, but it's done in the context of we want to look at your whole system and get it in balance. And we think of the endocrine system as a symphony that needs to be in balance. So that's your thyroid, it's your stress hormones. It can, as we get older, it can be, or, people with fertility issues that are younger, absolutely, it's
Hmm.
hormone issues. So, those are just a sampling of the things, but we work with people that come here though have to be ready to partner with us. They have to go, okay, I'm going to put my shoulder into it too. I'm going to lean in and we're going to work together, because it's not just, oh, here, go do that and you're all better, poof.
Right. There is
That's
no
not.
magic pill for transforming your body. There really is not. Like Disney
Mm-mm.
magic does not work on this. It's
I know. If I had a magic wand, right? Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what's exciting though. I mean, we do have a lot of regenerative therapies, and those are cool. So, like kind of Star Trekky.
ooh, I'll take that.
Well,
Okay.
we do stem cells. Your stem cells. We use yours, and we can work on you know, joint issues. We have actually a stem cell procedure that's patent pending that was our mentor actually in the cellular medicine space has taught us. He developed it and he's got a patent pending on it. And We're the only ones he's taught. So we're feeling really honored, but because it's a process. Not only is it a procedure, but there's also the underpinnings that you need to do to set yourself up for success.
Right.
But it uses your stem cells actually on the face. It's an aesthetic procedure. So it's kind
So
of fun.
all of this talk about things that are going on in your body, as also, I mean, this is your business. But when you talk about this stuff, I'm thinking, oh my God, all this stuff you got to do in a day, and how what is going on with your body affects how you show up in your business. And
Absolutely.
and so these are like, your business is essential to high performers that want to be successful in their business, because you also need to have your body cooperate. You need to be in partnership with your body in a day. Otherwise, you can't do all the things that are set out before you to do in that day. It's hard to keep up with yourself, let alone when your body's like, all of the trains come to a complete halt, right?
Right.
And it's hard to do all of those things without being able to see somebody like you. So thank you for having the business that you have. We
Oh,
definitely need to get more information about what it is that you do out there. So you just mentioned something that's kind of important I talk about with other guests, is that you have a mentor that's shown you these new processes. Who are some other influencers that help get you where you are now? Like, who do you go to for inspiration or motivation or anything like that?
well, I have a business coach that I have worked with for, well, when I turned 50. So I'm almost 59. And so actually she was an instructor when I was doing my lifestyle coaching through the A4M, through the American Academy of Anti-Aging, Regenerative and Functional Medicine. And she has taught coaches worldwide and is an incredible mentor. And when she taught the class, she was actually just starting her business in Asia. And she was mentioning that she's not really taking on personal clients anymore as much, because she's trying to, grow her Asia um, offshoot, her business there and so forth. And I went up to her afterwards and I said, I'm getting ready to turn 50. And this has just opened my eyes to so many things that I personally need to get a hold of. I was really, the lifestyle coaching program was more geared towards health, right? That's all the science components and all of
Hmm.
that. And then there was one module that was coaching technique. So that I was in her coaching technique course. And I said, but this is opening my eyes to like all this stuff, right? That is in my past that you just stuff down and you stuff down and you stuff down and you don't deal with. And therapy, of course, has is a component of it, but then there's just personal development that needs to be done,
Yep.
and awareness, okay, so what? Let's move forward, kind of stuff,
I
right?
You are speaking my language.
Now what? She has a great way. Now what? So what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what? Now what? Yeah. But anyway, so we laugh now because she's been a lovely influence in not only my personal life, but our family and our businesses. We laugh now. I think she felt sorry for me. She thought, oh gosh, this poor girl, she needs some help. Okay, I'll coach you. But her name is Barbara Fagan, and she's just been an incredible, wonderful, positive influence. And she's one of the original coaches, and from the Bay Area in San Francisco, um, and has had that business for almost 40 years. So one of the originals, one of the originals. But so she is, even when I'm not actively working with her, it's in my head. And then the books, of course, that she has recommended over the years about just shifting the thinking, right?
Yeah.
Shifting our thinking, because that's really it. It's our thinking that gets in the way. It's those self-limiting beliefs, and it's all of that garbage that we hear in the
Yep.
back of our heads. You're still that little girl who needs somebody to tell them what to do, right?
Well, or I just need, I just made a post yesterday that was a little cartoon about um the bad guy was chasing the little person, and this little person ran up a mountain and had these chains on, and one chain on one side said external validation, and he took that off, and the other chain was self-doubt and took that off, and the bad guy's like, yeah, now what you gonna do? And then it was like some anime manga kind of thing of boom, like the whole thing just explodes and like all of the power is now released because you're
Yeah.
unchained from self-doubt and needs of external validation. I'm like, those are the things I need to work on. Like, I just like to have a visual of how powerful you could be if you weren't chained by your own limiting beliefs. Like the record, that's aging me, but the tape
No, no.
that's in your head still
We've
aging.
already established I'm over 10 years older than you. Okay. It's good. I got you.
The recording that's in my head needs
Hmm.
to be set aflame and demolished somewhere. I need to replace it completely with something better than what I've had before. And these are the things that I'm
Absolutely.
working on this year. And I'm in this business of success, success, mentorship, and personal and professional development. I'm in this business. Of course, I'm a lot more hyper aware of, myself and what I'm bringing because I'm in the business. Okay. And I apologize for the extra noise. I have been trying to keep myself muted as much as possible, but they're doing this painting out here and they're literally right here at my window. So if
I
banging
haven't heard a
happens,
thing.
okay,
I have
good.
not heard a thing. Yeah.
Oh, just a slight irritation in the middle of this recording. Okay. So, which would also be a piece of advice I'd give other people. If you know what's going on out there, schedule appropriately. I did not know this was going to happen. Terri, tell me
Yes.
about because you've got a lot of great experience and stories, and you've had a lot of great people in your life. You've had just an extensive wealth of, of stories and experience. Like, I'm sure we would be talking for weeks about everything that's gone on.
We need to have coffee. That would
We
be
do,
fun.
well, or something. But what is one of the best pieces of advice you have ever received?
One of the best pieces of advice I have ever received. Hmm.
I mean, because
Okay.
your experience goes way back to, running your dad's practice at 10 years old.
Sorta.
Sorta.
Sorta. I think probably the best piece of advice actually I've ever had is, and it comes from a lot, it's probably not one person that's ever told me this, but it's an awareness, is just remembering that there's perception and there's reality.
Oh,
And
yes.
that every, you know, every single person, there's a story underneath. And, there, even though, I mean, of course, right, you come into people and you think, oh gosh, that person maybe is not very nice or whatever, they're rude or what. There's a heart to heart connection, literally, you can find with every human being. And just finding that and understanding that, I think that's the most, realizing that as an awareness, and, having been, come to me from maybe a parent or a grandmother, or, just in books, right? But really just grasping that there's that human connection and that empathy with each other. It just makes for a much richer, joyful experience every day, no matter what. And trying to stay grounded in that, because, sometimes, right, we get focused on, oh, he hurt my feelings or she hurt my feelings, or, whatever it is, whatever the petty is.
Uh-huh. Because that's not that big of a deal in a day, the grand scheme.
Yeah, yeah, is just remembering that to keep your center, because that's it, right? When we lose our center is when
You can
when it hits
totally
the
say that.
fan. Sorry.
Because it kind of is around here right now.
Yeah, yeah, when we lose that center. So, staying grounded and remembering that. And then also, I guess one more other little piece that kind of goes along maybe with that is, and it's related to a little bit of what you were saying in terms of the cartoon and all of that, is that, we all have something that's amazing to offer. Even you, even me, because sometimes, right, we feel like, oh, you get in that self-doubt.
Self-doubt. Absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Terri, so as we wrap up, this is a question I ask everybody. What does success mean to you?
I thought about that. And pretty much everything that I thought about, I thought, oh, well, I don't know.
Like, you could sound as cheesy as you
Success.
want. Like, as long as it's heartfelt. Like most
Yeah.
I actually had somebody who said, "Look, make no mistake, I love people, but at the end of the day, I want to make money." And he's like, "That's part of my success." I'm like, I mean, we're business owners, of course it is."
Yeah. Success to me, it, both of my parents, one of the things that's just an abiding thing for me, the good, bad, and the ugly, because of course everybody has it in their family origin, right? They're good, bad, and ugly. But consistently with my parents was a spirit of generosity, like generosity of giving and just wanting to make sure that they could um, support and take care of, not enable, but support and take care. So success to me, remember I told you we have 8 kids, 2 grandchildren, right?
Yeah.
Success to me, if we're going to talk about it from a business realm, is that, you know, I don't care if I'm a multimillionaire, and I mean, that's not really, sure, that could be helpful here or there, but what it means is that we have the ability to be helpful, to give somebody a leg up, whether it's our kids or somebody else, or that we can do that. We have that ability to help and to be helpful. So, you can pull that here into what we do at Medical Transformation Center. It's success, right? We ring a bell, we ring an imaginary bell here because we don't want to jar anybody. But, when we've
I
made somebody
love it.
happy,
Yeah.
right? When somebody is like, hey, thank you, or whatever, we ring that bell. And so by the same token, that success too comes from being able to help our kids. Somebody that's just, we got newlyweds, okay, here, I can help you with that extra couple $100, where to them it's huge. And thanks be to God for us right now, a couple $100 isn't as huge, right? So that's success to me.
That is awesome. And Terri, I very much appreciate your time today. You have such a wonderful giving spirit. I cannot wait to have coffee or whatever with you at some point. I am looking forward to getting to know you more through the chamber events and our own friendship. I can't wait. Again, thank you for sharing all of your stuff today. We will definitely include your information so people can check out your Transformation Wellness Center, like Medical Transformation Center, because I've gotten all of it in there.
medicaltransformationcenter.com. Yeah.
There we
And we have
go.
a new YouTube channel, which is kind of
Ooh,
fun too. Yeah,
fantastic.
there's some fun stuff on there, and there's getting ready to be more. So thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this. Thanks for being my inaugural here on the
Oh, fantastic. Your first podcast. This was your first podcast?
my first
Well, you're
podcast.
doing
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I enjoyed it. You're easy. You're so easy to talk to, and I appreciate that.
Oh,
Thank you.
awesome. Thanks. So like I said, I always enjoy my conversations with everybody, but Terri and I did hit it off very well. And I had to apologize if there was a lot of construction stuff going on in my area. Like, I can't control what's happening right outside my window. It was just super bad timing. So I felt bad. Hopefully that doesn't come across too bad, not damaging to the experience that you've had listening to Terri. But wasn't her story fantastic? I love that she even homeschooled her kids. Her and her husband are still together, which is fantastic to have a story that starts out like it does as in a relationship. She's with her husband. They're still together. They're still doing all these amazing things together in life together. Now, granted, any relationship's gonna have its ups and downs, but they're still doing it. They're out there making it. I love that she's still got so much energy to put into new innovative things. And go learn about Medical Transformation Center. Go learn about the innovative medical techniques that they're applying to get to the root of the issue and not just put band-aids on stuff. I very much resonate with doctors who do that instead of follow the system of, okay, well, this is your problem today. Here's this medicine, go do that. And it'll kind of slough it over, but it's going to cause a lot more other issues. Let's get to the root of things. Because if you can deal with that, which is causing problems, you may be able to, just like in your business, if your body is very important so that you can do the business. But even in your business, if you are not getting to a root issue to be able to deal with that, it's causing all of these other side effects. If you place a Band-Aid, if you give it an immediate, for lack of a better, like let's say you take Tylenol relief, it's only an immediate feel good for the moment. It's not fixing the issue. So if you give your business the immediate Tylenol, aspirin, whatever, it's not fixing whatever root issue may be in your business. So looking at what they do with Medical Transformation Center for your body, we should also do for our business, which is easy for us to think about. But then whenever we get into our root issue, might be us. And it could be that your body doesn't want to talk to your brain, like which has been my issue this past couple of years that I'm working on. Those things are real. There are times in a day that if you are by yourself in your business and you are struggling physically to get through, it affects your work. So we need to pay attention to everything that's going on and give ourselves space in which to get to the root of those problems. And then the flip side of that is also to take the time to celebrate your wins. I just had that conversation with another friend. We don't take enough time to celebrate the wins. So that also helps your body feel good. And so I enjoyed the conversation with Terri. I hope you did as well. Remember to subscribe, like us, follow us, all of the channels, preferably your favorite. That way, you're going to find us each time. So you can get notified. Sorry. Notified when there is a new episode that drops. So just know, thank you so much for your time in listening all the way to the end of this episode. And I've been your host, Christy. Contact me, leave us a comment, let us know, give us a good review, or, email me directly if you don't like this show. Like, tell me what you really think, but just don't be mean and hateful. Go be kind. Be kind like Mr. Rogers would with people. With that, I'm out. Thanks, everybody.